Hello and welcome to this short video about the BTEC Tech Award in Performing Arts and how to succeed in Year 11. This is particularly focused on the drama pathway, although of course there are some students taking dance and music pathways, and there'll be separate videos for them. So in Year 10 we completed 60% of the course. We started off with Component 1, exploring the performing arts, which is our coursework written module, worth 30% of the overall mark. And we followed that up with Component 2, which is a performance paper worth another 30% of the course. Students have had those marks back and those grades back, and they know exactly where they stand for 60% of their course now. So as we enter Year 11, there is the opportunity to resit that Component 1 or Component 2 if grades weren't where they were supposed to be. If we thought this was appropriate for your child, or if you thought you're interested in this, we've had those conversations already, so that should have already taken place. And we are then focused beyond that on Component 3, which is the exam unit, which is about responding to a brief. At this stage, what the students do is to develop their own piece of work as part of a group. They contribute to a workshop performance as a performer or designer, and that brief and stimulus is laid out for the students by the exam board. It's 40% of the grade, it's the remaining 40%, and it's worth a total of 60 marks. The exam board released that brief in January with an end date expected end of April or early May. That's currently to be confirmed, but that's how it would normally work. Up on the screen now, you should be able to see the set task. This is an example from a few years ago, just giving you an idea of what the students then are given to work with. So in this example, they're asked that a local cultural centre is organising an arts project. The arts project will tour different primary schools, and it's about giving younger children the opportunity to take part in performing arts and see those positive role models within their local community. And they were given a stimulus titled Thoughts and Actions. The brief follows a very similar passage every single year. The scenario might change and the stimulus changes, but we can teach the structure, we can teach the style in the same way before the brief is released. Alongside the brief, it breaks itself into 4 separate tasks. There are 3 written tasks and a performance task within it. So students must produce an ideas log of 800 words, which talks about how their story, their characters, and their ideas in general help fulfill the requirements of the brief. They also write a skills log, which looks at the techniques, the different performance skills, the different production skills that the students are using in their work, and how they've chosen those, why they've chosen those, and how they fulfill the brief. The third activity is the performance itself. And at the end of that, they write an evaluation report discussing and reflecting on the development of their own individual skills, the success of the project, and the success of the final performance. To prepare our students for that, we're currently taking them through a mock version of Component 3 based on last year's brief. As I'd said previously, although the vocational nature changes every single year and the stimulus changes, it's a fairly standard brief that we can teach the students a structure of and teach them how to create their own work and then how to write those 3 different logs they need to. The performance and write-up is going to take place towards the end of Term 2. And at that point, we can give the students their feedbacks and action so they can best prepare for the real brief when that's released after the winter break. There's 2 pieces of advice that we try to give the students all the way through this process and, in fact, of course, the real Component 3 itself. The first thing is to work practically all the time. It's very easy to discuss whether something will work and think about the theory of whether something's going to work in performance without actually getting up on its feet. But secondly, they must always consider why they are doing the work that they're doing. They must understand the intended impact of their work, the intended impact of their choices. So the 2 main pieces of advice: always work practically and be really clear of the why behind the work, the decisions that you are making. Home learning supports this unit, obviously, and it will be a mixture of rehearsal, might be line learning in practical tasks, or it might be writing up notes in preparation for their non-practical written elements. Everything that students need to complete the course is on their subject Google Classroom, and it's a really good starting point to find everything they need. Parental support and encouragement to motivate those students to keep going, to commit to these activities is going to be crucial for their artistic development and therefore the outcomes, the final outcomes that they achieve. I suppose the big thing alongside that is that performing arts cannot just be studied within the classroom, and our most successful students are those that engage in our extracurricular offer, that go out involved in watching performances and performing themselves. That wider kind of lifelong learning is really essential to developing themselves as performing artists, which will lead to them being successful candidates for the BTEC. I'll leave you with my email address, which is your first port of call for any questions that you might have around drama and the BTEC, and in fact anything performing arts based. Thank you very much.